Hi, this is Pat Duckworth, the author of Hot Women Rock, How to Discover Your Midlife Entrepreneurial Mojo. And today my guest is a professional speaker and trainer and an inspirational coach. She had her first entrepreneurial experience as the co-creator of the Universal Counselling Clinic, where she worked as the associate director and as a psychotherapist. So I can tell we're going to have lots of interesting things to talk about. She later worked as a financial planner for the fifth largest insurance company in the US and consistently received the Outstanding Presentation Award. As a speaker, she has the ability to address some of the unspoken thoughts and behaviors of her participants due to her many years as a certified psychotherapist. She's the founder of Frances Pitt and Associates, a national consulting company, and she's also a professor at the Milwaukee Area Technical College. Gosh, there's so much for us to talk about. Welcome, Frances Pitt.
Well, hello, Pat. How are you?
I'm very good. So Frances, we've met a couple of times, but I've never talked to you about your early career. So how did you start out? What was the first thing you did when you left education?
Actually, I came to Milwaukee to come to graduate school. And after 2 years of working as a psychotherapist, I decided that I wanted to do my own thing. So me and a partner, we formed Universal Counseling Clinic, which was outpatient mental health for adolescents, counseling for adults, people returning from prison, marriage, just a little bit of everything went on in the clinic.
So what led you to that decision to set up for yourself like that? Was that something that you'd planned to do, or did that just seem natural to you?
Well, I did not like where I was working, and what's the old saying? When you're not liking where you are, create your own.
Yeah.
Particularly if you thought you could do better. And I just felt like in Milwaukee, we needed a clinic where people could work with students and young people and adults and get the end results that would bring their lives to the next level. And so I started on my own.
What took you into psychotherapy in the first place?
Oh, Pat, that's such a long story.
I know, I love the story.
I don't know if the world is familiar with what we call historical Black colleges and universities.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of that on your continent, but I was attending a historical Black university, working in the lab as a handling statistics, and the dean of the department came in and found me sleeping. So she tapped me on her shoulders and woke me up. And she said, "Miss Pitt, do we not pay you to run this lab?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "But you can see there are no students here." She said, "And how would you know?" Of course, I was sleeping. That was on a Monday and students didn't show up. So I laid my head down to rest and just went to sleep. She came in, seemed like she was very upset with me. I just knew she was going to fire me. But she came back with 3 university catalogs where you could sign up for and register for graduate school. And she threw them at me and she said, "See, can't you fill these out?" And I did. And 2 months later, I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, attending University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee Graduate School, which I knew nothing about, had not planned it, but here I am in Milwaukee. And that's what historical Black universities are known for. They do everything for each student to graduate. She could have easily fired me and went on about her business, but she didn't. She sent me to a different state for a better life and another degree, which I'm so thankful for.
That's amazing. So it's a good job you went to sleep that day, you see.
See, you don't know how the future is going to work.
You never know. So
Right.
you had that counseling business, and then, so how did you then get into insurance?
Oh, now that's like a 360-degree switch, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Friends, I had a friend at the university, and she said that this particular company was looking for outstanding performers, people who spoke well to come into their industry. I went down and applied for it, got along very well with the general manager, got the job on the first interview. And there I was there for about 10 years doing that.
Yeah, well, you seem to have done very well at it, getting these awards for presentations. So what was that about?
Well, when I gave my presentation to various companies or communities, I would always come out number one. And I think it was because people believed what I was saying when I was in front of them. They saw that I was authentic. Yeah. They saw that I had integrity, yeah, and that I would give them the best services. So in the end, I think the audience could always tell a sales job versus authentic people presenting to the world. And I think that's one of the reasons I scored so well.
Do you know, I was talking to a wonderful entrepreneur called Christiane Pedros last week, and she asked me for top tips for speakers. And I said, be authentic.
Yes.
People can read it from the audience. They can see whether you are speaking truth or not. Right. And if you're not yourself and you're not authentic, they'll just turn off. They'll be the ones who go to sleep.
That's true. And also words from the heart reaches the heart. So within, so without. So if you have integrity inside of yourself, then that comes out. If you have an honest personality, that comes across.
Okay, so take us on from there then. What happened after your time working in insurance?
Well, I went for another, you're all going to be able to figure out my age if I keep telling you all this.
But, age, we don't care about that.
But another 10 years at a company called Frances Pitt and Associates.
Yeah.
And what I did there is I worked in about 12 states doing training and development as well as speaking. And worked a lot with colleges and universities. And I think a course or topic that I have kind of renamed, but I'm using it today, is called The Greatness That I Am Seeking Is Also Seeking Me.
I love it.
And to me, that's a true statement when we realize that the power is within us. So whatever we're seeking is also seeking us. And the mind is acting like a magnet, pulling to you that which you say you want. So I used to give that message to a lot of colleges and universities, and it went real well because I was teaching students to know that the power is within, not without. And they had the power to create a world, a life, and relationships that worked for them. But they had to know that if it is to be, it's up to me. No blaming on the outside, but looking inward at how your life was going.
Yeah,
and sure. I think for students as well as adults, we need to pay attention to the voices that play in our heads all the time. Now, as a former psychotherapist, and I still have my licenses to do that, one of the things we notice is that voice, which we call the inner critic, the one that causes us to doubt, and the one that causes us to stay on a job longer than we intended to, or the one that tells you you're not self-worthy, or the one that says when you tell your friend you're going to open a company, and they say to you, and you can't even balance your checkbook, and you're going to start a business, you know, that voice will cause you to doubt yourself. So I taught the students there were three voices: the inner critic, where you criticize yourself; the defender, where you're blaming somebody else for your condition; and then the answer to it was the third voice, the inner guide, the voice that says to you, you can do it, you can have as much as you can, and as the good book says, the Bible says, you can have as far as you can see or believe. So I taught them to get rid of the inner critic and just always concentrate on the inner guide that says, I am who I am because I choose to be who I am. So that was a big seller. And even today, when I do it at spiritual organizations and at students' events, it's a big one because it's a true one.
Yeah.
saying I am in charge of my own life by the voice that I choose to listen to.
Absolutely. It's such great advice. And, you know, the book Hot Women Rock was all about women making these big changes in midlife.
Mhm.
And women sometimes hold themselves back from making that change because that inner critic or even some of the people around them are
Yeah.
saying, oh, you're probably too old now, and why do you want to do that now? Why don't you just, you know, go and
Mhm.
read a book? Or,
Right.
you know, when I was working in the civil service and I was working as a manager, and I said to my manager, I've decided to go and do a master's in business administration. And he said to me, why don't you go and do a painting course?
How about that?
And he was my manager.
Yes, yes, I know the feeling.
So, you know, it's not only that inner voice that you have to, it's not only the inner critic, you have to watch out for the outer critic as well.
Yes, your associates, because those voices are important too, who you surround yourself with
Oh,
and how they encourage you, and also the feeling that they bring to you, good energy. If it's
absolutely.
pleasant energy, you want to stay there
Yeah.
and listen. But if it's not pleasant energy, you want to get away as far as you can.
Yeah.
So that's the importance of mentors, right? What we call right associations, and people who support you going to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. That's so important.
Mhm.
So you were doing all of that brilliant work, and then you got this professorship. What happened there?
Well, I thought it was an opportunity to, I don't want to use the word, but my friends used to say whenever they saw me, I was always chasing business, or they use the word hustling because I wanted to make X amount of bucks.
Yeah.
And I always kept business. And I didn't have time for a lot of socializing or small talk. I guess that's one way of saying it. So that led me to concentrate more and more on business and focus on going to the next level in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
Did I
Yeah.
answer your question? What was that question?
So then you moved into get this professorship in Milwaukee. So how
Yeah.
did that come about?
Again, I think God has been very good to me. A friend told me they were hiring at this particular technical college, and I should go and put my information in. And as usual, I got hired on the first time around. Actually, when I finished my graduate school work in Milwaukee, I was on my way back to North Carolina, and the professor said, go for the interview and go for the practice of interviewing. And I went and I got that job on the first interview. And then I was supposed to leave Milwaukee after 2 years. But as it goes, two turned to 10, 10 to 20, 30 plus. We'll leave it there. So my track record is once I go on an interview, I always get that job on the first interview.
Yeah.
And
So,
that's how I landed the teaching job.
and what are you teaching there now?
I teach what we call the Language and Arts and Science Department. We have two different programs that I work with there. One is called, the best way to say it is we work with some of the students who may have had a record and their grades are not high as they should be. So we work with them on communication skills. We teach them things like how to write an essay, how to do research, writing skills. And originally I was teaching African American history. I was teaching what we call gencology, which is a required course where you learn all the basics of how to be successful. So I did
Oh,
that. And right now I have a special section that I really like, which is the GED section. And those are people returning to school like 20 to about up to age 60. And that's an exciting group because they're determined, they know what they want, and they are focusing. So I love that. So it's a little bit of everything in there. And then around that, I do speaking on the side.
wow. It's just so much going on there. I don't know where to start. So this is Pat Duckworth, and I'm talking to Frances Pitt. And so we've just heard something about her amazing career and everything that she's been doing. Frances, I want to ask you, because I'm sure you're going to know the answer to this question.
Mm-hmm.
What's your purpose? What's your purpose in life? What keeps you doing all of this?
Well, I'm back increasing my speaking engagements now. But my passion is to share my information that I have learned over the years. It looks like I've spent many, many years in seminars and many, many years presenting seminars. But there's a lot of information I choose to share with people so we all can grow. I can share it at a community college. I can share it at a university. But my passion is to get what I've been blessed with and share it with other people in larger numbers. That's one of my passions.
I love that, because for me, learning is really important, but I always want to share what I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
If I just keep it to myself, it's not very powerful. But if I can, as soon as I've learned something, I want to go and tell somebody else about it.
Well, I think that's called the application of what you've learned. I've spent many years in what we call metaphysical teaching. Teaching which also says that the God power is in you. And so many principles have come out of that, like the principle or the law of success or the law of attraction, the law of compensation, which people will argue with you on. And that law says that you're always earning what you feel you're worthy of. And the moment you decide you're worth more, you go to more.
Yeah.
So when you hear a person say, I should have my boss's job because I do it better, well, that's their perception. But if it was so, they would be doing it.
Yeah.
So all the principles that we are taught, power within you, love yourself, believe in yourself, go after your dreams, know that you know that you know what you know.
Yeah.
Share it with the world. And don't hold back, because when you're holding back, you're playing a small game in life.
Yeah.
The goal is to play a bigger game in life. And that's the key to life. Just be in action. And the old saying is show up, because that's 90% of the game of surviving.
Yeah. Gotta show up.
Yes.
Every day, keep showing up.
And miracles happen because you don't know what you're going to run into, or you don't know what the universe is sending you, but you must show up.
Yeah.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
So I've got a couple of questions for you. The first one is, so how do you define success now? What does success mean to Frances Pitt?
That is a good question. Because success to me is being happy and enjoying what you're doing. And then prosperity would be a part of it. Money, to do what you want to do, how you want to do it, but also to share it, because I have a giving heart and I love to share with my family. When I'm being very successful, we're doing a lot of things together, traveling together, learning about our ancestry, all those type things. So having what you want and need, enjoying it, and the ability to share it and show up each day and enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, not falling asleep because you're
Don't go in the past, Pat.
Don't do that. Okay, so here's my next question then. So what would your top tips be for somebody who is in their middle years, let's say, in their 40s, 50s, they're not happy at work and they're thinking about doing something new? What would be your top tip for them to get started?
Well, make a decision. Because the moment we make a decision, it's like Providence shows up and things open. No decision and things stay the same. So always make that decision. And for me, I've always put a by-when date. That's so important for me, to act on what I say I'm going to do by that date. And then I have learned over the years, just being around high energy people. High energy people who are doing things that you would like to do or admire. That's very important. And forming relationships with people who will be honest with you and tell you the truth about what they see in you, and no such thing as problems. just challenges that you can overcome and work out. That
Yeah.
would be my top two things that I think is important.
Yeah, so important. I totally believe the who you spend time with is who you become. You know,
Yes.
you spend time with those people who are developing and reaching out and, you know, succeeding. The chances are that you will do those things too. Spend time with people who are moaning and saying what they can't do and how life is putting them down.
You run
Guess what's
from
going to
that.
happen?
You run from that. And another thing I would say is it's like 4 or 5 points to keep in mind to be successful. Number one, right thoughts. Your thoughts have to be certain thoughts that's going to be uplifting. And number two would be right words. Your words are so important. They have such an impact. You can build it up or you can build someone down. So which are you choosing each day? And then number three would be right actions. What are the actions you take in each day to get you to that desired goal? And number four would be right reaction. How do you react to people when they say things that you really don't believe or things that could hurt your feeling? Or what's your choice? How do you react?
Yeah.
Someone step on your toe. Are you upset? Or you can say, oh, I know you didn't mean that. No problem. And then the last one, number five, is right feelings. How do you feel when you get up in the morning?
Yeah.
How do you feel during the day? How is that energy flowing? Are you feeling like, oh, I get this feeling something great is going to happen today? Or you have the feeling, I know I'm going to meet somebody nice and exciting today. Your feelings, because your feelings keeps you going. So your right feeling and your right thoughts combined produces the things that we see in our world. I used to be asked, how do you see yourself or what's going on in your world? And they say, just look around. Look around. How are your friends? How is the house? Is it organized? How is your car? Is it clean? Is the trunk clean? In your bedroom, when you pull out the drawers, of everything folded, you know, that's a reflection of how we're thinking and how we are.
Yeah.
I don't do all those things right, but I try to do some of those things.
I don't know if you know that saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Oh, I love that. When I
Yeah.
first heard that out of one of our speakers' mouth, and probably where I saw you in Vegas at that conference.
Yeah.
He said that, and I thought, wow, that's interesting. Then I started to watch myself. I know I used to do a lot of networking, 3, 4, 5, 6 nights out of the week in my early days. And I was one who would reach my hand out first and say, hello, I'm Frances Pitt. Who are you? And then so I said, okay, so that's always been a way I'm looking, do you still do it? I said to myself, not as much. And then I looked at my thinking. The way I've thought about a thing is the way I'm thinking about it now. Always, the way I did a thing is the way you do everything.
Yeah.
I'm from the South. So I came from the segregation area when I was growing up and came to Milwaukee. In the South, it was like Black lived in one area, white in another, very, very segregated. And so when I came to Milwaukee, and plus I went to what we call a historical Black college, which meant 90 to 95% was African American. The other 10% could have been from anywhere in the world. Come to Wisconsin, and guess what I run into? An environment where it's 35,000 students and less than 1% was Black.
Yeah.
So that was a flip. So how was that? The way I did everything is the way I do everything. You know, I think about how I used to really explode in the early 70s and 80s. I don't do that now. I tend to listen before I give an answer. But yes, the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to think about how you're doing things and how you're showing up to do
Yeah.
those things. Excellent. Frances, we've got to come to an end. So if people watching would like to find out more about you, or if they would be interested in you as a speaker, how do they find you?
Okay, I have 3 ways, and I would love for you to make sure they get all these 3 ways.
They will be in the bottom of this screen when I put this out there.
Okay, so then we use the website, francespitt.com, spelled FRANCESPITT.com. And then we can use my email address, which is again, francespitt@wi.rr. So I said 3, didn't I?
Yeah.
Facebook and LinkedIn. Both of those.
So many ways.
So many ways. I would love to hear from the various people who like my conversation.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Frances, for making the time. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, and I hope I'm going to see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
It's lovely. So keep watching out for more of these amazing conversations with wonderful entrepreneurs. There's always so much we can learn. I'll see you next time.